my dear DOP friends. I'm back. Last week was not gonna happen. I had all these high hopes of filling you guys in as soon as I got back, but I was feeling quite a bit drained. So I am back in mode today. So I'm gonna give you guys a rundown about my experience, and hopefully it either inspires some of you guys to take on a trip such as this one, or at least just get more information on plant medicine, its benefits, and you know, educate a little education on it. So to start, so what I ended up doing was a plant diet. So not only did I have 6 ayahuasca ceremonies, but I also communed with a specific plant, which for me was ajo sacha, my buddy, my pal. And within that, you have to be in isolation, couldn't speak to anyone, couldn't read, none of that jazz. So it was an interesting process for sure. So first, I want to give my thanks to the center in Cachipiba. They were absolutely amazing. And if anyone's interested in taking on this process, I would 100% recommend them. And I want to start with that because it is incredibly important that if you decide this is something that you want to do, you want to make sure it's a center that's healthy, that isn't having 25, 30 people with one shaman. It just isn't safe. It's a lot of energies, and when you're in that space, your energy field is super open and you want to protect yourself as much as possible. So I want to start with that. Please make sure if you are to take this on, you choose an amazing center like Inca Shipiba, and I will link their information below. So the center Inca Shipiba is female run, which is incredible. The shaman Matilde is the head of household, and she's incredibly knowledgeable and full of love and incredible. She works besides her daughter, Sarita, and Sarita also an incredible shaman and amazing spirit. And then they work also with Rambo, which is the sun, and he also provides his energy throughout the ceremonies. And they run the whole center together as a family, which is incredible. And, you know, it's very basic living, which I think was one of the most important things about this trip, right? Just cultivating this sense of gratitude for some of the things that we take for granted in our day-to-day lives, and really understanding a different way of living where, you know, we were bathing in a stream, you know, in a little river. I don't know that it's really a river, but you know, in a body of water with fishes, you know, and we were in a very basic, they call it tambo, where we just had our bed, our moquitero, which is to keep the furious mosquitoes away, okay, because they are wild in the Amazon, okay? They will get through your clothes, they will get through everything, and because we're in such a natural space, and, you know, I do believe in this, we wanted to, of course, use products that are natural and not harmful to the environment, and they don't work like Deets does, and, you know, new blood, they're like, new blood, and they will get you. But anyway, a chair, a table, and a what are these called that you swing on them? Anyway, it's not coming to me, but those things. And, you know, very basic, which is amazing. You know, it's this sense of, it changes your perspective on what you actually need to be happy, right? In your day to day. So 2 weeks of being in there. My particular one was like 10 by 20. Like, it was small, compact little situation. We had I had a space where I could see out. So, my view was of chickens, some trees and jazz. And that is what my TV was basically. Okay. And you can't read because you don't want other stories in your head. And so time, one of the biggest lessons is like time, right? Our perspective on time. And, I know intellectually that time is relative and it's a concept that we create, right? It doesn't really exist, it's a collective construct. And so the experience of time, when you're not looking, when you don't have a watch to look at, when you don't have these TV shows to watch, when you don't have work, when you don't have to worry about what you're going to eat because it's given to you, and minimal at that, it really changes your relationship with time. So that was one of the biggest, I think, lessons that I got, was how much time we actually really do have on our hands. I think, living in our fast-paced lives here, we're constantly complaining about time. There's not enough time. Where's the time? And what's the time? And how much time? And time. And, being in a space where time was irrelevant because it just had to be, really changes the game in your mind. So that was one of the huge things there. Communing with Ahosacha was quite the experience. In our dreams, right, we are lucky, we go through 4 REM cycles when we sleep. But we have dreams through each one of them. However, most of us are lucky if we remember one dream a night, right? And I was remembering 4 dreams, 3 dreams as a minimum every single night. I mean, it was incredible how it just opens up your subconscious basically to you. So that was an incredible experience, which of course I wrote them all down fast and furiously and make sure I captured as much of it as I could. Because there's a lot of information in there, right? Like that is how our master plants speak to us, right? It's their way of being able to give you the information. And, it's not information, I think there's a lot of like confusion where you think you're going to get this, like, do this, right? And it's like, doesn't really work that way, right? You have to decode and figure it out and see how it fits with you and etc. And so, I'm still going through that process, and that process can take 6 to 12 months, right? To really figure out like what's in there for me. I had a lot of themes of education. I had a lot of themes of social causes in my dreams, and now now the challenge is to like see how that fits into my life and how that's going to fit into the rest of my life story, right? But if that is something that interests you guys, right, to really get into your dream world and understand more about yourself in that, then plant diet is really something you want to do. In the center as well, which was amazing, we got so much other things that we did, right? We got flower baths of different flowers that help our energies in different ways. We had sweat baths with other plants as well to help our energy field, which was also amazing. We got to mess around with oh my God, why am I like completely rapé? We got to mess with rapé, which is another amazing plant medicine that's out there, used a lot in Colombia, Brazil, etc. And it's a powder. It comes in different ones: cocoa, mint, flowers. There's a ton of different ones, and you basically either somebody administers it through your nose or you have a self applicator that you can do, and it basically like different ones do something different, but it'll open up your third eye and clear your head. That one actually took me out for a bit that first time. I was like, whoa, what's happening in my brain? But it's an incredible tool as well, for, anxiety, for clearing your mind, to open, clear your head and to be able to meditate and open up to different things, etc. For energy. There's a bunch of different uses, but we also got to experience some of that. We got to mambiar, which is something that happens a lot in some Colombian tribes, traditions. And it's like a powder that they make with coca leaves. And then they have this like pasty concoction that they make with tobacco. And it's a tool that they use a lot to open up their energies and access information that they would otherwise not be able to access. So super cool there. But let's get to the ayahuasca. So I learned a lot there because I think we have all these expectations of what that is. And what it's supposed to look like. There's a lot of documentaries, there's a lot of chats, but something I really wanted to bring up is like everybody's experience is different, right? And what you think will be your experience, I think generally the plant says no, because so I went in, thinking I was gonna cry a lot, thinking I was gonna really deal with all this like trauma stuff and blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't like that at all for me. And, it challenges you and your expectations, right? And it does what it wants, it's the master, right? So, I had a lot of doubts, like, am I doing this right? Like, am I open enough? Like, was this right for me? Did I make a mistake? Am I learning anything? Am I gathering anything? And that was part of my test and my journey, right? To stop relying a lot on my intellectual self and the expectations that I may have of things, right? It was like one of my big lessons. And during our journey, it was 4 girls, which was amazing, beautiful souls. And we all had a very different experience, right? Like one of us had a very dark encounter with some energies that weren't great, because you're so open that, we forget that we have to be intentional sometimes, like not just be like, I'm open for anything. It's like, nah, I'm open for all the good energies, not just open in general. But this is also a reason why you want to have a good shaman. They will work with all those energies and basically shoo them away, right? There were so many different type of experiences that we saw throughout, which really shows the power of the medicine, right? It's wisdom in understanding what it is that you need to get to that next level step in your life. So for me, it was a lot of that, learning patience, right? Like there were nights where I was laying there and I was like, oh my God, we're almost at second glass. Like, am I not going to experience anything? Like just freaking out, right? And then the plant, like, just like when I want, I'm going to go in, right? So a lot of my lessons were on that. I had a lot of visions of like, blueprints and things like that. And it's visions and feelings and things that you then have to decipher, like how they fit in the scope of you and your life and etc. Right? It's not like they're going to read out an instruction manual, right? And it's not a magic pill either, right? I'm back and it's like, okay, what now? Right? How are all of these themes that came up for me, how am I going to incorporate them into my regular life here? Right? And I've been going through kind of a space of grief almost, like, which is natural, whenever you're like going from one space to another, it's a death of a part of you. It's a death of pieces of you that, quite frankly, I'm sure I don't even understand 100% yet, right? Because the process happens so deep, and a lot of the visual experiences I know that I was having sometimes were difficult for me to grasp intellectually, right? Like they would happen and then they would like be gone, right? But that doesn't mean that it didn't cement itself in my subconscious, and in my DNA, right? And it's been scientifically shown that ayahuasca gets into your DNA, and it makes changes in there, right? So there are things that I know for certain I haven't been able to grasp yet, right? But there were moments where I felt like, well, we took this one variety, we drank this one variety that they call the Black Panther, and it comes from Brazil. And wow, I felt like literally my soul was being scrubbed. Like I could just feel this like thing just going through my chest, and wow, what an experience, right? And like you're seeing this other dimension that exists that we don't perceive regularly, right? And it was beautiful. I could feel it working on my third eye. There were moments where I felt like it was trying to take me apart, right? To put me back together. I threw up every ceremony, y'all, okay? But I was a thug about it. Like there were days where I was like, all right, Dawris, like for sure you're going first. But mind you, I was taking a really large glass because somehow, and I expected it. I need a lot more, right? And obviously at first they want to see how you react to certain amounts or whatever. But then I ended up taking like really big glasses. But then I was like, okay, you're taking this really big glass, but like you want to take it to the highest level, right? Because this is my personality type, right? And I was like, I'm going to take a second glass. Like, I'm going to take this to the next level. And listen, I like sat up. They were like second glass. I was like, I'm going for it. I sit up. As soon as I sit up, I'm like, wah, 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 for like let me not say 5 minutes, but like a cool 2-3 minutes, just going off, whatever. And my little ass stood up, and took my little second glass. I said, there's no way I'm going to go hard. So, it really shows you parts of your personality that I think are otherwise sometimes hidden. Like, I realized like there were moments where I was like, everybody else is not going for the second glass. Am I going to go for the second glass? Like, I realized how other people's decisions were really impacting mine and vice versa, and certain dynamics that are hard to grasp when you're in your regular environment, right? So that was also a super interesting piece there. And circling, because I think I digressed, I thought I was going to have all these sad moments and trauma and all of this stuff. But at the beginning, we were discussing and something that came up when, we had our first discussion with the shaman was that like sadness is a place where I'm really comfortable, right? I think it's just a feeling that I'm super comfortable with. Like it's like my safe place. And so I then realized as ceremonies went on and as the days went on, I'm like, I'm not feeling sad at all. And it's like the plant saying like, you're over that. Like that's not who you are, right? Like the work that you've been doing, up until now, it's worked. Like, why do I think that, in the last 2, 3, 4 years that I've been, developing myself spiritually, why would I think that I'm still dealing with the same things that I was dealing with then? So it was like this awakening of like, where am I really spiritually, right? Like figuring out my base point, like, wait, I have let go of a lot of this stuff. That's not where I am. I'm at blueprinting. I am blueprinting a whole new version of me, right? Like who I'm gonna be for the next X amount of time, right? Which was really incredible. Like even just seeing and acknowledging that about myself, and was worth all of it. So I've gone on for a long time, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up. But all of that to say is, like, guys, plant medicine is wise. It's incredible. If spirituality or just like understanding new areas of dimensions of life and the world and yourself and levels of you, and you want to peel yourself apart like an onion, this is really something you should try out. And I highly, highly, highly recommend to try it out with Inca Shipiba if Peru is where you decide to take on this journey. I will post their information and you can contact them. Rosana helps out with the center to be a translator in English. So if language is something you're concerned about, they do have somebody on staff that can translate for you. And then they do speak Spanish. I mean, obviously their language is Shipibo, but they do have a really good handle on Spanish as well. If you have questions, comments, concerns, you want to chat with me about it. I know I was trying to be concise and really like get some of these things out there. Comment, hit me up, DM. Like, let's chat about it. I'm so excited. Like my next trip, I definitely will. The Matilde, our shaman, as she was reading the ashes of our mapachito, which is a tobacco, she was like, this isn't it for you. Like, you're gonna be back. And I was like, listen, like, I feel that. Like, I know I have more to learn here. I have more to do. I want to commune with more plants, and see what they have to say, and really explore this. But I also want to go to Brazil. I want to test out how they do it. They have ceremonies where, you drink glasses throughout the night, but you're dancing and people take turns singing and playing instruments, like the whole group. Obviously, in this experience, there's also sharing of songs and there's a lot of singing and instrument playing, but they go a little harder in terms of like everybody really is in there doing that, and you're dancing. You're not just like laying there waiting for the experience to happen. You're like dancing till the sun comes out. So I want to try that, right? So there's a lot to learn. I learned about other plant medicines that I didn't get to try, like cambo with a frog. And listen, there's a lot to explore. Anyway, let's chat more about it. I love you guys. And till next time. Mwah, mwah.